Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Alliance's webinar series. Today's webinar, Welcome to Partners in Policymaking, will be co-presented by Brian Anzac and Melissa Justice. My name is Christine Beck, and today is Wednesday, April 10th, 2019. As a reminder, all attendees are in listen-only mode. If you wish to connect with myself or with the presenters, just use your chat box and your control panel to send us a message. This webinar is being recorded and it will be placed on our Alliance Facebook page as well as on our Alliance website. So I'd like you to meet the staff on today's webinar. We have Tracy Wyant, who is the project specialist, and Tracy is with Brian in Pontiac, Illinois. So welcome, Tracy.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today.
And this is Christine Beck, me. I'm the organization director, and I am with Melissa in Charleston. So we are glad to be part of this webinar today. So a little bit about who we are. The Alliance is a network of advocates, allies, and self-advocacy groups all around Illinois. Our vision is for self-advocates to work together to get the support we need and to live the life we want in the community. Our mission is to speak up for ourselves and each other while working together to make changes in our communities and in Illinois. Our focus is on empowering people to speak up and speak out about what they want and need, what they don't want and don't need, to action plan their goals, and to participate in advocacy at the personal, agency, community, and statewide levels. What we do. The Alliance does a lot of awesome things, and it really is about supporting local groups, working together on important issues, and offering networking, advocacy, and learning opportunities through monthly newsletters, webinars, the Alliance Ambassador Program, and the Training Institute. As I mentioned, the Alliance is a network of self-advocates and self-advocacy groups all around Illinois. And this is a map of Illinois, and it shows you where all of our member groups are located. And we currently have 25 member groups. And our goal is to get to 40 member groups by 2021. So in Northern Illinois, we have groups in Zion and McHenry and Dixon. Chicago and the surrounding areas are very well represented with member groups in Alsop, Brookfield, the city of Chicago, Chicago Heights, and Homewood. On the western side of the state, we have groups in Rock Island and Galesburg. In the central part of Illinois, we have member groups in Pontiac, Bloomington, Beardstown, Jacksonville, Decatur, and Monticello. And in the southern part of the state, we have groups in Alton, Charleston, Edwardsville, and we welcome our newest group from Paris, Illinois. So welcome to all our groups, and those of you out there joining us who aren't part of groups, we're glad you're with us today. Now we'd like you to meet the presenters.
Say your name.
I'm Brian Anzac. I live in my own apartment in Pontiac, Illinois, work at Stiller International. They work on farm equipment, belong to an LCAA, Livingston County Advocacy in Action, advocacy group, presented many presentations on advocacy topics, graduated from Partners in Policymaking.
So thank you, Brian. And let's meet our next presenter, Melissa Justice.
I live in Mattoon, Illinois. Belong to CTF advocacy groups in Charleston, Illinois. Worked on many advocacy campaigns like Speak Up and Spread the Word to End the Word, and the Going Home rally, an ambassador for the Alliance, and graduating from Partners in Policymaking.
Thank you, Melissa. And I just have to mention this. Many of you may have come to speak out and participated in this particular presentation. And if you went to Speak Up and Speak Out, there were actually 3 presenters that day, Brian, Melissa, and another self-advocate named John Bellett. And Tracy is going to be presenting John's part today, as John has passed on, and his spirit, though, lives on within all who knew him.
Yes, I'm very excited and very honored to be doing John's part. He was very passionate about advocacy work, and John would be very pleased to know that we are still continuing and doing advocacy work. So John Bellett, though he lived in his own house in Pontiac, he also belonged to the LCAA advocacy group here in Pontiac. He was an Alliance ambassador, and he gave many presentations on advocacy issues. And he, too, was one of the first ones graduated from Partners in Policymaking.
Thank you. And thank you, John, for always showing us the next way to go in terms of self-advocacy. So, Brian, here's an opportunity for us to speak up and speak out. So what's the question?
Have you heard of Partners in Policymaking?
All right, so this is a question to all our participants. And so go ahead and chime in using your control panel. Have you heard of Partners in Policymaking? Have you heard of Partners in Policymaking? You can type in, yes, you've heard of it. No, you've never heard of it. But just, we want to get a sense from our participants. Have you heard of Partners in Policymaking? All right, and so we've got some folks chiming in. And thank you, Mike. Mike has heard of Partners in Policymaking. Fantastic. So at least one of our participants has heard of Partners in Policymaking. Anybody else out there? Have you heard of Partners in Policymaking? All right. And we have another group that's joining us, KCCDD. They are in beautiful, sunny Galesburg, Illinois. And KCCDD has said, yes, we have heard of Partners in Policymaking. So, all right, we've got folks who already have some knowledge about Partners in Policymaking. So thank you for responding. So Brian, tell us, what is Partners in Policymaking?
Also called PIP. It's a leadership training program for parents of school-age children with developmental disabilities and adults with developmental disabilities. PIP teaches leadership skills, including how to develop positive partnership with elected officers, works with policymakers who make decisions about the service that individuals and their families use. People who graduated from PIP often go on to be a member on boards, FSC, communities, and other leadership roles.
All right. And Melissa, there are, you have to commit to being part of the program. So that means you agree to being part of the Partners in Policymaking program. So tell us a little bit about what that agreement is.
Attend all
8-week session.
8-week sessions. The sessions run from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. on day one, and 8:30 to 3 p.m. day 2.
And then sessions are held on Friday and Saturday, except for the session in Springfield, which is held on Sunday and Monday. And Tracy's going to share a little bit more about that later in our webinar. What's another agreement?
Commit to doing homework after each session. The homework assignment builds on and supports the topics addressed and must be completed and turned in at the following session.
All right. And then the last agreement is
work on completing any and advocacy projects to graduate.
All right. So you have to make a commitment or agree to attend the sessions, do the homework, and work on and complete a project in order to graduate. So Tracy, we heard that it's a 2-day training for 8 sessions, and tell us a little bit about where you meet.
Yeah, it's a great location actually, because we have many individuals that use the train to get to this location. We meet at the Hyatt Hotel, and it's in downtown Bloomington, and it's got some cute shops and that around it as well. But it's kind of nice that we have always met there, because we are really developing a relationship with the staff at the hotel, and it's just really kind of like a homecoming. Every time you go back, you see everybody and get to catch up and keep up. But yeah, we always meet at the Hyatt place, and it is the one that is in downtown Normal Bloomington area. And it's a very good place. They have been so accommodating to us, and they're always great about making sure that we're comfortable and that our experience is a really nice one.
And you mentioned that it is right next door to the train station, so lots of people take Amtrak?
A lot do. Yes, they do. We have a lot of individuals that take the Amtrak train and just hop off and walk across the street, and you're right there. And one of the other super duper famous parts about the Hyatt place is that, where do you go get your coffee?
Starbucks.
Starbucks is right there.
All right. Well, there you go. And then we also mentioned that one of the weekends happens in Springfield. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we take one session is in Springfield. We do that on a Sunday and Monday. The reason for that being that in Monday, the Capitol building and a lot of the guys are there. We did a tour. You get a private tour of the Capitol. You get to go and hear all about the historical parts of the Capitol and what all the, like, you'll see like statues, what they mean, the meaning about why they're even placed the way they're placed. The history is so in depth, and it's just a unique experience to really get to look at advocates way back when. Advocacy is not a new thing. It started way back when, and we are very lucky to have that. You know, Abraham Lincoln was such a strong part of Illinois, and it is really fascinating to go and to see all the work that was done, and through his advocacy work, as well as many of the other politicians that happened to have gone through the state of Illinois. So if you ever get a chance to go, I definitely recommend that you go. It's also a very beautiful building, and it has many beautiful pieces of artwork as well as stained glass windows. And actually, we found out a really fun tip last time we went, that Legally Blonde 2 was actually filmed there. Yep. The last part of Legally Blonde 2, where Sally Fields is up talking and addressing, was actually filmed at the state capitol in Illinois.
Wow. So during the state capitol tour, do you get to meet any of the legislators or lawmakers?
Well, at that time, there was none there. So, no, but I'm sure, you know, if they were there, then I'm sure that you would. But we actually invite We have one of our participants, when they come, they give us their names of their legislator, the representatives, and what we do is we send out an invite to them and ask them if they would be willing to come and meet us, and many of them do say yes. And so we've had quite a few of them that would come and sit in with us on our session. They either sit in on Monday afternoon, or some of them try to work out the deal, they come on Sunday afternoon. But so you will definitely meet lawmakers of some kind.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing about the 2 different locations of the Partners in Policymakers Weekend. So, Brian, tell us about the things that you learn in Partners in Policymaking. What are the topics?
History of disabilities and services, history of parents, self-advocacy, and independent living movement, how Partners has changed my life as a graduate's perspective, inclusive education of lifelong learning, assistive technology and devices, positive behavioral intervention support, case management, service coordination, and self-direction, person-centered thinking, and person-centered planning.
And there's some more topics. But wait, there's more. So tell us about those, Brian.
Ponds and the waiting list, the legacy case and future implications, Medicare, Medicaid waivers, and other HCBS support, CMS, and the most integrated setting rule transition plan for Illinois, supportive living, housing, and home of your own, employment first, supported, customized, and self-employment, Illinois legislative process and legislative advocacy, visit to the tour of the state capitol, governor's appointment process.
And this is Christine, and I'd like to mention that many of the folks who come and are sharing about these topics come from all over the United States. There are folks who come from the East Coast and the West Coast, and they come to share their experience and their expertise in these different topics. And so I know for some of the partners, participants, that's been a really neat thing. So some other topics, Brian.
Governor's appointment process, legislative updates, meetings, and legislators, community organizing and effective skills for system change, introduction to the role of the federal government, serving on boards, parliamentary procedure, creating a shared vision of 2030 and beyond Partners, moving forward, personal growth, the role of the media, including the internet and social media.
And if this sounds like a lot, it is a lot of information. But remember, this is broken down over 8 weekends. And so it is done in smaller sessions. You're not learning all this information all at once. So, Melissa, you learned a lot at Partners in Policymaking. And so would you share some of the things that you learned?
History of disabilities and services. Many people long ago and not so long ago were treated very badly if they had a disability. Parents form advocacy groups to bring about change.
All right. Well, that's important information to learn. And you learned even more than that.
Everybody gets to be invited to involved in education, inclusive education and lifelong learning, assistant technology devices,
All right. And you even learned more.
case management, services coordination, person-centered planning, puns.
And puns is a word that stands for prioritization of urgency of needs. So puns is kind of like a waiting list. So you contact your local independent service coordination agency and they do an assessment and they let you know what's your prioritization of urgency for need for services. So puns stands for prioritization of urgency of need for services.
Illinois legislators process a law legislate advocacy. Talk to legislators about issues toward visited the state capitol, how to serve on the board.
Wow, you learned a whole lot of stuff. So Brian, here's another question we want people to speak up and speak out about. What is the question?
Why is it important to know your legislators?
So a big part of participating in Partners in Policymaking is that tour of the Capitol and learning about the legislative process and meeting legislators and that advocacy that surrounds the folks who make rules and laws that we have to follow. So we're putting it out there to all our participants. Why is it important to know your legislators? So go ahead. Let us know what you think. Use your control panel to type in, why is it important to know your legislators and for them to know you? So why is it important? We want to know what you think. And let's see, we've got Ralph. I'm going to go ahead and Ralph, can you take yourself off of mute? We can see if we can hear your voice and you can share. So Ralph, I see that you raised your hand. So are you able to take yourself off of mute? Okay, Ralph?
Yes.
Yo, fantastic. We can hear you. So why is it important to know your legislators?
Well, because our legislators are the ones that help make the laws and policies, and they are how we communicate what we need for our communities. And that's who we need to communicate to.
All right. Thank you, Ralph. That is awesome. Yeah, those are the people that make the laws and the rules for us and our communities. And so that's who we need to speak up to. So thank you, Ralph.
You're welcome.
All right. Anybody else? And I think we'll ask Brian or Melissa, why is it important to know your legislators?
So we know who to go to.
Okay, so you know who to go to when you need something. Yes.
And you have a disability, so you need to, so they can try to pass bills with the people that have a disability.
Yeah, so we can pass bills and laws that really support people with disabilities. And Shelley in Galesburg says, so we can get things done. Yes, right? Thank you. These are all great reasons why it's important to know your legislators. All right. So let's move on. Tracy, tell us about graduation requirements.
Yeah, graduation. I don't know if it's in the slide before, but about homework, you'll be required to have some homework each month to do. But and in addition to the homework you'll do each month, you're going to pick a graduation project, and the project will hopefully be completed by the 8 months. That's how you will graduate, is when you get your project accomplished and done. So you would do a project that would affect the lives of people with disabilities. You would have to complete the project before graduation, and then at graduation, you are to give a speech on the project.
All right. And I want to just let everybody know, we're going to go back one slide, back to the speak up and speak out. Why is it important to know your legislator? Because Shelley in Galesburg had something else that she wanted to share. We should know our legislators so we can develop a relationship. Yeah, wonderful. Yes, Shelley, so we can develop a relationship, and when we need something, they already know who we are and we know who they are, and we can get the work done a lot easier. So thank you, Shelley, for sharing that. So those are the graduation requirements, and let's hear about what John and Brian chose for their project.
Made a presentation on what we think parents should know about their children transitioning from high school into adult life. Told our life story of personal journey from childhood to adulthood through the eyes of a person with a disability. We are taking over presentations to a parent advocacy group in Dwight, Illinois, and presenting it to them, as well as allowing for questions and answers.
And if I could just jump in for a second too, to say that, you know, for these guys were approached, there were so many parents there that would go and ask John and Brian so many questions, because these parents want to know what their child's life will look like after they get out of high school. So Brian and John were flooded by a ton of questions, and just so happened that there was an individual in our group that was forming a parent group, and they thought, wow, this would be a great idea to come together and share with other parents out there our life story. So John and Brian worked really hard, and they put together their whole background story, as well as some of their successes, and even as well as some things that maybe they wish that they could have changed or done differently. And they've taken that into a parent advocacy group in Dwight. So it really, their project kind of spawned out of everybody really having such a deep interest in what their life journey was like.
All right. And so, Melissa, let's learn about your project.
Made a presentation about how to be an advocate for myself
or
for someone
with a
disability. Taking my presentation to Eastern Illinois University, where I will present it to college students who want to go into the social service field. I hope to educate them on how to be an effective advocate for someone who has a disability.
Yeah, and Tracy, there were about 25 people in the Partners in Policymaking class that Melissa and Brian and John were involved in. And are all the projects the same?
No, that's the beauty of it. Everybody gets to pick. Some people decide to work together as a team, like Brian and John did. Others choose to do it on their own. And we've had amazing projects come out of the Partners in Policymaking. With this new Partners in Policymaking, the next session, a woman has already published a book that she wrote with her son, and about some of the supports that her son needs. And so it's just been really, really interesting, and it's great to see how everybody comes up with such unique ways in order to be advocates.
Nice, thank you. So a little bit about teamwork. We heard, Tracy, you said people come together and some of them work together and some of them work on their projects by themselves, but a big part of the Partners in Policymaking program is teamwork. So Brian, tell us about that.
One of the most important thing we took away from PIP was leadership and teamwork. We learned that there are ways in which to be an advocate leader, and by working together, we can bring about change.
All right. And that leads us to yet another opportunity for you to speak up and speak out. So, Brian, what's the question?
Why is teamwork important?
All right. So, for our participants out there, what do you think? Why is teamwork important? Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think. Why is teamwork important? And go ahead, type it in using your control panel. Ralph, I'm going to unmute you, and I'd like to hear what you have to say. Ralph is a member of People First Action Club. It is an Alliance member group there in Jacksonville, Illinois. So, Ralph, you're going to have to unmute yourself so that we can hear what you think about why teamwork is important. So, Ralph, if you get a chance, go ahead and unmute yourself. While you're doing that, from the Client Advocacy Board at KCCDD, Robbie says things get done easier when you're using teamwork. Yes, thank you, Robbie. I appreciate that. They do get done a lot easier. And Ralph, what do you think? Why is teamwork important?
Well, teamwork's important because, one, like they said, things get done easier, but by working with different people, you bring different perspectives to the project. Everybody has a different way of looking at things, and you can combine those efforts together to come up with something completely unique and allow you to operate better.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ralph. And that reminds me that everybody has different gifts and talents. And so when we're working together as a team, it really gives the team members a chance to use their gifts and talents. Not everyone has the same ones, so we need everybody's gifts and talents. So thank you, everyone, on sharing your thoughts on why teamwork is important. So Tracy, we know that there is a session of Partners in Policymaking going on right now, but there's another chance for people to participate. Tell us about that.
Yes, it'll be, the next session begins September 2019 and runs through May of 2020, and there are no classes in December. There is an application process that will start in April 2019. It would be, you can find the application information will be on the Alliance Facebook page and also in the Alliance monthly newsletter. So it'll give you directions about how and where to go to fill out the application, because not everybody is chosen for PIP. They have applications and they go through, and they have a committee that look based on experiences, and that they look to see if that would be a good fit for you or not. So definitely, if it's something that people are interested in, be sure to definitely check out the Alliance Facebook page and our monthly newsletter. And there you're going to find the directions to go for applying for it.
And we also want to share that it is free to participate in Partners in Policymaking. You do not have to pay.
Right, and that means that also includes your room and your board as well, and your transportation to get there. So if you took a train, they reimburse you for a train ticket. If you drive or have someone drive you, they reimburse that person or yourself mileage. So that is always a good thing when you're worrying about transportation, as well as all your meals will be included as well. The hotel supplies the morning breakfast, but they cater in for lunch and for dinner. So everything is free, that it is.
All right. And do you have to do it all yourself, or do people get support during class and in between classes?
That's the wonderful thing about it. We have what we call faculty advisors, and we're split up into groups. And I believe at this time there's 4 faculty advisors, and we all have groups. And we will keep in touch with the people in our group all throughout the month. If there is any problems, any questions, concerns that they need help with, we go and we help with it. We do a lot of like phone conferences, so you don't necessarily have to drive to meet somewhere. We do a lot of just checking up on people to make sure that they're staying on course and that they haven't ran into any major problems. And if they have, we try to correct them or get them to the person who could help them with the problem.
All right. So you're not in it alone. Again, there's a whole team of people, and we're all cheering for each other because we want everybody to succeed. And so now comes the time, if you have questions, comments, or a contribution that you want to share, go ahead and type it in using your control panel. Do you have a question, a comment, or a contribution to share, whether it's for Brian or Melissa or Tracy? Let us know, or me, Christine, yes, but let us know. Questions, comments, or contributions? I'm going to ask Melissa and Brian and Tracy, as people are maybe thinking of questions, comments, or contributions, what was the best part? So think about this. What was the best part of participating in Partners in Policymaking?
Getting up in front of the group and chanting.
So they're
breaking my fear of being
a chant leader.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So one of the topics is about community organizing. And it was during that session that the group had to come up with an issue, and they had to organize around this issue. And one of the things that they did to bring awareness was develop chants. And Melissa was shy, but said, I'm going to do this. I am going to get up there and lead the chants. And indeed she did, because she had a lot of cheerleaders with her that day, and actually in all the other sessions. So that was the best part, huh?
Tracy, what was one of them that I did?
Oh, goodness, I'm trying to think. Was it something about customized employment?
Yeah. Which one was that? With the job?
Yes, it was talking about like the job. It was customized employment. You guys were wanting to, that was your part of your chant, and I'm trying to think what your sign said. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know that you did a great job.
Isn't it something about like better pay, something job?
Yes, you're right. It was something about better pay, better jobs, but it rhymed. I can't remember what we came up with. I'm trying to see if I got it wrote down somewhere. But yeah, it was really a good thing. It was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And just learning to see how all of that plays out. You know, how do you organize something like that? And it was just really, really interesting and fun to learn.
Yep,
All
I came
right.
out of my shell.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Brian, what was the best thing for you about partners in policymaking?
I don't know if this counts, but Starbucks and a cookie place.
Yeah, but what were some of
The history of the disability and when the kids, long time ago, when the kids went to school, whatever, they put them in a box. This was in Illinois through the day and stuff that I just.
It also, you know, it really brought into like even about how it wasn't that long ago that individuals with disabilities were treated in such a manner that is just crazy when you think about it today. And this might have only been 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So in Illinois, we have made some progress, but definitely not enough. We need to continue to do that, and learning and realizing that we've come a long way, but how far we still have to go. It can seem daunting sometimes, but yet.
And there's also a process of getting all the penitentiary shut down because that's one goal they want to get done.
All the institutions.
Yeah, institutions.
Yeah, definitely. And the wonderful thing about PIP too is that it covers such a vast amount of topics, you know, that are very important and I feel are very important, in fact, to be able to, you know, enrich other people with a better life and to be able to help people become better advocates for themselves. And at this point, a lot of the parents are still their children's advocate, and the information that we receive from there it's life-changing.
And Tracy, what was the best part of Partners in Policymaking for you?
I think for me, it came the projects. I was just blown away by all the different ideas that the projects were, that these people were able to come up just out of the air. You know, I'm like, oh my goodness, I never would have thought of doing something like that. And not only seeing the projects, but actually seeing them put into action and the success that comes from that. A lot of our PIP graduates have now gone on to be asked to sit in boards. They've been involved in many, like a cash program. They've been involved in many different organizations that work really hard. And I think Brian has something he was going to.
Okay, well, I went to speak up and speak out because we were doing a breakout session, and it was me, John, and Melissa with Tracy, and we had 3 different teams, and they had to work as a team to make a tower, and I enjoyed that. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Lots of teamwork. And then we do have a question from the Client Advisory Board at KCCDD in Galesburg, and they asked about how many participants attend the training.
About 25.
About 25.
Now we do have some that drop out, that they will start and they realize that maybe, because it's a very intense program, so some will start and realize that maybe that they're right now in their life, they just don't have the time to be committed to the full 8 months and all the homework and the project that comes with it, and that's okay. And then, so it usually starts out at 25, and sometimes it might dwindle down, but for the most part, I think we've only lost maybe three participants from both groups maybe that have had to step down, but other than that, there's about 25, and then there's 4 faculty advisors.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your questions, your comments, and your contributions, especially to you, Melissa, and you, Brian, and Tracy, for sharing the best parts.
And Christine.
And me, yes.
That leaves herself out.
So, in closing, if you would like to connect with the Alliance, you can email us at info@selfadvocacyalliance.org. Our website is selfadvocacyalliance.org. And you can find us and like us on Facebook. Just search for Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance. And so I would like to personally thank Melissa and Brian and Tracy, and in honor and memory of John, thank you very much for sharing your experiences and your expertise on partners in policymaking. And on behalf of all the self-advocates in Illinois, keep on speaking up and speaking out. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.